So now we're going to go ahead and actually add our first domain so we can start routing traffic through TCP Shield. So to do that, we're going to click domains over here on the side, and we'll see that we have a series of steps here. This is our protected CNAME. So this is what we're going to be actually using to configure our DNS, but we're not going to worry about that for now. We're just going to go ahead and actually add a domain. So to do that, it's straightforward. Just click the add domain button here, and we're going to call this nitromc.com. And you'll see that there's now a verification process. So for most users, this is a bit intimidating, but it's actually quite straightforward. So to do this, we're going to go recheck domain, and we can see that it's unverified. So now we're going to go through the verification process, and when we do that, you'll see that we're presented with CNAME and text. So if you add a domain without a subdomain, so what we just did was we added a domain without a subdomain, nitromc.com, you'll want to do TXT Record. If you added a subdomain, you can do either CNAME or TXT, but in most cases, I would just recommend doing TXT. So when we click this, this is the TXT record that we get, which we'll have to configure in our DNS manager. So we're going to go ahead and copy this. We're going to go to our DNS manager, and I'm using Cloudflare, but if you're using Namecheap, the process is also pretty much the same. So we're going to go ahead and add a record here. We're going to call it TXT. We're going to use for the name @ This means that we're specifying the root record. TTL, you can do whichever you like. I recommend 2 minutes just so that it's quick. And then we're just going to go ahead and paste that text record here that we copied from there. So then when we do that, we're going to hit save. And when we do that, we're just going to wait a few seconds. We might not be able to immediately verify it because DNS takes time to propagate, but we'll go ahead and try it here. And that successfully worked. So now we have our domain verified, and we can select our backend set here. You can't actually add a domain until you select a backend set, so we'll select nitromc, which we just made earlier. And you don't have to worry about the Badlion proxy unless you're actually running their anti-cheat. So this is a server-sided anti-cheat that you actually have to install first before you can use that. So I wouldn't worry about that. And then you can just click add. And you'll see here the table updates. Verification status is verified. And your values here should pretty much look like this. So any future domains you add, the process is pretty much the same. You just click add domain, you do the verification, and that's verification TXT record, this one. This will work for any future domains you add. So if you're trying to add a bunch of domains in bulk, you can just copy this record for each domain, each successive domain that you add, and then you don't have to go through that whole process. So in the next video, we'll go ahead and show how to configure the plugin, and shortly after that, we'll go through how to configure DNS records so that we can start getting traffic actually routed through the TCP Shield network.